Hello and welcome to Joy in Our Town on TBN. I'm your host, Jaquetta Williams. We begin our show with a very serious topic that's affecting children all across the country and right here in Atlanta. You know, Atlanta has been called the hub for sex trafficking because so many people come in and out of our airport, which is the largest in the country. With our national and international traveling capabilities, it's a prime target for people who try to traffic children. But there's an organization that's working extremely hard to change that. It's called Our Children's Keeper Foundation, Incorporated. It was created to stop it and recover abducted and missing children in Atlanta and the surrounding areas. I sat down with the founder of Our Children's Keeper, Janice Shelton. Take a look at our conversation. We all know that Atlanta is a hub for sex trafficking, but did you know it has become the #1 spot for sex trafficking? Well, joining me now is somebody who is trying to change that. Janice Shelton has her own foundation called Our Children's Keeper Foundation. Janice, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's jump right into this. What made you want to start this foundation?
You know what, I was very intrigued by the situation that happened in DC with the young ladies that became missing. And I was disheartened the fact that there was no media attention. You know, I didn't hear about them. The only time I heard about the story was on social media, Facebook, Instagram. But where was the mainstream media? Why aren't the TV stations covering this? Why isn't there a movement? Where is the protest? Where are the advocates? Where are the people and the resources in the village that's supposed to be protecting these kids? Where are they? I didn't hear anything about that. So we actually got in contact with the Foundation Black and Missing that was actually overseeing the young ladies and their cases and really helping get involved with that, and got in contact with them. I flew to DC, helped talk to the parents there, the families. I was a spokesperson for the foundation for that particular event, and just became so indulged with the fact that this is really happening. Because when we think about sex trafficking, we think of it being a third world issue. You know, kids from other countries coming over here. But it's not. It's going on right here in Atlanta, in DeKalb County, Fulton County, Cobb County, right here in our backyards. So when I came back to Atlanta, I started doing my research and coming to find out that it is a true epidemic here. And the fact that our kids are being taken as young as 10 years old, all the way up to 14, 15, 17, 18 years old. And we even have kids that are being taken as young as 5 years old, and they're being kidnapped and they're being groomed to be into sex trafficking. So as a mother and being able to use this platform, there was just no way I can be in silence. I had to use my platform to raise awareness, to bring attention to this issue, and hopefully be able to bring back our children home safely.
So when it comes to sex trafficking and trying to find these young people, and if a parent is watching or a child who is being sex trafficked, how do they reach out to you? How do they start that first step to try to get help to get out?
Absolutely. Well, as far as a parent, the first thing we have to do is make sure that they have a police report. We have to make sure it's filed accordingly. They have all the necessary procedures in place for that police report. And the reason why we do that is because we have to be careful, because sometimes we can have pedophiles that get in contact with different foundations because they're looking for certain kids, okay? So we have to be very careful in our investigation and how we deal with the case. So the first thing is that they have to have a police report. Then from there, they get in contact with us, and we can facilitate in regards to helping with the search, putting together a street team to do neighborhood searches with T-shirts. We actually help the families financially, assistance with that. So if it comes down to needing help with investigator fees, private investigators, attorney fees, and unfortunately, sometimes we have to deal with burial costs.
What are you seeing as to why these children, because one of the things you were talking about is the fact that you think third world country, but these are children who come up in two-parent households,
That's right.
who have parents who are working, who would be esteemed as middle class or upper class. So how is that happening?
Well, you know, a lot of things has changed now. You know, the face of a pedophile has changed. We used to think that it was an older man, and that's not the case anymore. You have pedophiles that come in the forms of madams, and madams are women, aunties, grandmothers. So when they're approaching a child, they're unassuming. You know, but if they're approaching a child, you're not going to be, you know, threatened by an older woman because you think that a woman is nurturing. And then you have pedophiles in the schools that are their peers, you know, and they have street names. Some of the street names are called sneaker pimps. So those could be the guys that are in the school, and those are the ones that are flashy. So they're the nice looking guys with the money and the clothes and the nice cars. So if I'm coming up to you and say, hey, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful, why don't you come with me? Have you ever thought about modeling? You know, so if I have low self-esteem, If I'm looking for something, you know, if I think he's fine and I want a boyfriend, I want the attention, then I gravitate towards that. So, you know, that has definitely changed. In Atlanta being a hub is because of the fact that we have the international airport. Okay, so it's a major, major airport. We have the entertainment district here. We have so many different amazing functions that go on here, which is kind of like an incubator for something like that to happen. You know, we have the Super Bowl coming, you know, so there's so many different major events that lure pedophiles and traffickers here to Atlanta to prey on our kids.
What, as a parent, do parents need to do to be mindful to make certain that their children don't fall prey into any of the sneaker pimps or any other the people?
Be mindful. You know, I always say in my house, there is no privacy. Until you go out of my house and you become an adult, then that's when you have privacy. But while you're in my home, I'm going to check your cell phone. There's no privacy. I need to know exactly what you're doing on your phone. Give me your phone. I do random checks. And it's so important that we stay involved and we stay vigilant within our children, because the social media is so dangerous. You know, I can pull up my child's phone and I can see exactly where she is. You know, if I'm a pedophile, I have complete access to you. There's an app where I can just find your location. Not only your location, it will pull up the picture of your location. You know I have access to your friends. I know what you're doing all the time because you're posting it 24 hours of the day, what you're doing, who you're doing it with, what time and the place you're going to be here. So I have full access to you, and it's too much. And then a lot of these applications that the children are using, it's like a normal app. So in order for you to turn off that notification for your location, you have to physically go into the phone to turn it off. You know, so it's things like that that we have to be mindful about. We have to start talking to our kids. You know, sometimes we're so busy, we're so caught up. And I know me, I fall victim to that, is the fact that I've been so busy with my career and taking phone calls. My child may be coming to me, Mom, look at this, Mom, I want to show you this. Look what I did at school today. And what do? If I'm on the phone, oh, baby, hold on, I'll be with you in a second. Give me a second. And if we do that too many times, then they're going to stop coming to us and they're going to start talking to someone else and they're going to get in the ear of the wrong person. And that's how it happens.
Are young girls being more trafficked than young boys, or are you seeing both?
It's definitely both. And the reason why we don't hear about boys as much as girls is because boys, you know, they're ashamed, they're embarrassed, you know, so they don't talk about it. They cry in the dark, quote unquote. So we don't really hear about it. But boys are just as vulnerable, if not more. We have guys, older men that are coming to Atlanta and they're spending $10,000 for young boys 12 and under to traffic them and sell their innocence.
Goodness. So how is the police working in conjunction with you? I know you mentioned, you know, having the attorneys and this, that, and the other, but do you do seminars? Do you go to schools? Do you go to colleges to kind of, I guess, get the word out, or do they all come to you?
Well, I have gone to schools, and we talk about that. We do a lot of interviews. There's a lot of attention there's a lot of great organizations here in Atlanta that are working to combat this issue. So it's just a matter of once you get out there and you have the resources, they come to you, they find you. I do a lot of social media postings. I do a lot of events, so they get in contact with me via social media, via email. I'm talking to parents now. So they know exactly how to get in contact with you. So we just have to just be vigilant. You know, we can't just, you know, turn our heads anymore, and that's what has happened. Our village has been broken. I remember when I was little, if I got in trouble on a school bus or at school, get down for that school bus, you know, you had Miss Jones fussing at you, you had Mr. Jones fussing at you. You may have got your butt beat 2 or 3 times before you got home, before your mom and dad turned around and beat your butt. But now we don't have that anymore. Our village has been broken. You know, people turn their head. I don't want to talk about it. That's not my child. That's the problem. We have to be more vigilant, more aware of what's going on in order to protect our children.
If people want to get in contact with our Children's Keeper Foundation, how do they do that?
The website is ourchildrenskeeper.org. We also have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Our Children's Keeper Foundation as well.
Thank you so much, Janice. If you want to know more about our Children's Keeper, their website is ourchildrenskeeper.org. You know, in Proverbs 19:17, it reads, "He who is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward him for what he has done." Or Proverbs 21:13, "If a man shuts his ear to the cry of the poor, he too will cry out and not be answered." It's hard to see people who are affected by homelessness, no matter where you live. In Florida, there's a ministry that's aimed at helping to train people who want to volunteer to help get people off the streets. They also have a food bank and much more. Let's go to Florida for the story.
Hi everyone, I'm Suzette Mailer coming to you from beautiful South Beach, Miami for Joy in Our Town. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I want to introduce you to an awesome man of God. His name is Pastor Frank Diaz. He works through a ministry since 2001 called United We All Can. And here he is. How are you, sir?
Hey Suzette, welcome to South Beach.
Oh, I'm so excited. What beautiful weather.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
nice.
We want to tell the folks at home about what you guys do.
Okay.
And in fact, he got his start right here, not too far from where we're standing. Tell us about how you guys got started.
Well, the Lord called us to come out here in the streets, and we didn't know the first thing about evangelism. We didn't know the first thing about teaching the Bible, but this is where we got our start. We cut our teeth right here.
Wonderful. So tell us more about what your ministry does.
Well, we train the disciples. We train all the volunteers to come in. We train them to develop their gifts. We're a food bank. But that's not all we do, because people say, oh, you're the feeding organization. No, we're not. You know, we train and equip different people, different volunteers from different churches that come throughout South Florida.
I love it. So your purpose is twofold. It's to help people in need in Miami, but it's also to help the volunteers become better disciples so that they can go out and do the work they're called to do.
Correct.
So,
And not only that, but also to help in their ministries, because these pastors can't do it all on their own. You know, the church needs to rise up. They need to, start getting involved and taking a lot of that responsibility onto themselves.
so tell us more about your feeding program.
Well, what we do is we feed about 5,000 people a month. We mainly support all our restoration homes. We have 8 restoration homes. They're not our own, but what we do is we support them with food, because when I had my restoration home, no one brought us a plate of food. So now I realize that there's a great need for that. And then we go out to the streets and we feed the homeless, but we give them the Word of God, and then we invite them to get off the street.
So tell us a little bit more about what you do through the restoration homes.
Well, the restoration program is about a 1.5-year program. The whole thing is, if you go to a secular program, it's about 3 months to 6 months, and then throw you out in the street, nice and clean, but they don't do anything for the spiritual man. What we do is we concentrate on the spiritual man. We develop that spiritual man so they never return back to where they came from.
That's amazing. Do you take anyone? Does it matter their gender, their age, their race?
As long as they're breathing, we'll take them.
That's excellent. And I know there's a place in Miami that's called Tent City that you work in. Tell us more about what goes on in Tent City.
Tent City is an area that all the sexual predators, all the offenders, they all congregate there because they can't live anywhere else. And the city knows this, but they just leave them alone there just to subsist. And they usually have a certain time that they need to report to their counselors, so they have to stay in an area where they can be easily found. And we go there and we minister the Word of God, and then after their time is up, we encourage them to come into our restoration homes.
That's amazing. Tell us a little bit more about the work you do through your volunteers. How are you training and equipping them to bring the Word of God no matter where they are?
Well, we're using the Jesus Christ business model, and go figure, it works, And what we do is we train them in real time. And most of these people, they have a lot of different spiritual manifestations within them. They have damage of their soul, their flesh. Sometimes they have all types of different diseases. So we minister to them the Word of God. And through the Word of God, we train the disciples, so they can deal with difficult people. So when they go to their churches, they can deal with any kind of environment.
What I love about your ministry is it focuses on helping people both who are in need, the least of these, as the Bible calls them, but
Correct.
also equipping those who want to go forth and share the gospel and how to do it. Why do people find that so difficult? What is so intimidating about learning or really thinking that you have command of the Word of God enough to go ahead and share it with your neighbor?
Well, the fear is that they don't have any confidence in them. And what we do here is we build confidence. We kind of throw them in the fire, just like Jesus threw me in the fire here. I didn't know what I was doing when I first came here, but because of all the experience that I acquired over time, now I impart that into them. And I know what their limits are, so I don't push them past their limits, but I put them right to the edge, so they always keep growing and growing and growing.
Pastor Frank, what do you find most rewarding about the work that you do?
The souls that get won, the ones that are almost to death, the ones that are dying, And then after a year and a half, they come out of that program and they come back here and they preach the gospel with power and authority.
Amen.
And you go, wow, it's all worth it. It's all worth it.
Amazing. So I know you need volunteers. Where can people find more information about United We All Can?
Well, we have a webpage and Facebook, so they can look us up under Facebook, United We All Can. And they'll see all the information, they'll see the pictures, everything that we do. We live by faith, we get no income, we have no salaries, everything that we do is by faith.
We salute you, Pastor Frank, and thank you so much for joining us here on Joy in Our Town. I'm Suzette Mailer from South Beach, Miami, Florida. Back to you in Atlanta.
Thank you so much, Suzette and Pastor Diaz. Now, let's head to Virginia, where there's another program that fights against homelessness. It's called The Harbor. Take a look.
We are on location here in Williamsburg, Virginia at the Williamsburg House of Mercy, and I'm joined today by my guest, Shannon Welozanowski. She is the Executive Director of the Williamsburg House of Mercy. So you guys do a lot of things in this community. Let's talk about some of the different things and some of the services that you guys provide.
Okay. We have the Harbor is our day center for the homeless. People who are street homeless, who are literally homeless in the community, can come in, they can get a warm breakfast, a warm lunch, they have an opportunity to get a shower, apply for jobs, use the computers, charge their cell phones, all of those good things. The Harbor is a ministry that is manned by volunteers from 22 churches in our area from the Greater Williamsburg Outreach Mission. We've really focused more of our efforts on building the relationship with the homeless at a street level and walking with them from homeless to housed. Here in Williamsburg, we don't have an emergency shelter. There's a winter shelter that goes from church to church, a thermal shelter. That only runs from November to March. We're able to use the motels in the area in an emergency shelter capacity.
Yeah.
So it's short term, typically it's a stopping point on their way to permanent housing. We have a housing-based case manager that will work with them to identify a location that they want to live, because that's important.
They even get to pick where they live.
They need to pick where they live because we want them to stay there.
Right.
That's a big, if they're not happy with their housing, they'll leave. So we want to make sure that they're partners with us along the way. So we say that we're navigating the bus, but they're driving it. We're a zero barrier center. And what that means is that we're going to serve them without regard for their ID status, without regard for their current or past use of substances. So when they come in and they express to us that they are interested in receiving substance abuse treatment or receiving mental health services, we will assist them with their co-pays, help them to navigate the different systems. If they're not ready to receive substance abuse treatment, we continue to serve them. Where they're still going to get food, they're still going to get showers, and we work on building the relationship so that they know that we're here when they're ready. So we really try to work with them and meet their needs regardless of their past or current lifestyle. And we're trying to help them to live the life that they want to live. And if that's camping for now, we'll help you camp for now. So we say that, you know, we want to do like Jesus did, and we're going to go to them. We're going to meet them where they are. The Harbor, it's set up with this, just a notion of extreme hospitality where there are guests.
I love that, and you're honoring them.
Exactly.
And showing dignity.
Right.
We're actually in the House of Mercy.
Right.
And the Harbor is one section.
Just one part of it.
But this is a really big building, and there's a lot of activity today.
Right.
What else happens here?
Well, we have the people who have made appointments who are in need of financial assistance for things like eviction, things we call homeless prevention. People will stop in for food. Every once in a while they need to get to a doctor's appointment or a job interview, and we'll help them with transportation. We have a system set up with DMV where we can give them a letter to say that they're unsheltered homeless and they're one of our clients, and the DMV will take that as proof of residency. So they can set this as their address, and we receive their mail for them. A lot of them actually work and will need clean clothes for work, so we'll provide laundry cards for them. We have tents and sleeping bags. This is what we're doing, and this is our mission. We want to end homelessness, and in the meantime, we want to meet their needs.
Right, yeah.
But we're also having a conversation about diversion. Can we reunite you with friends and family? Can we get you back to a place where you can start over and be stable? table. And we do a lot of that. One particular lady, she had been trying to walk from Newport News to Richmond. She was referred by the winter shelter. As we sat down and talked to her, she said, if I can just get to Houston, my friend is in Houston, this is where I can start over again. So by that afternoon, she had a bus ticket in her hand to go to Houston.
Wow.
She called us about a month later and said, I just want you to know you saved my life. I was like, no, we didn't do that. She said if she had stayed here, that she wouldn't have been able to reunite with family and friends. She couldn't have gotten a fresh start. She couldn't start over. We identify the need, and God provides a way.
Right.
This was born through having this relationship with them, talking to them and saying, what do you need?
Responding to what their needs were.
Exactly.
Shannon, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate your time and telling us all about the Williamsburg House of Mercy.
The Williamsburg House of Mercy also does food distribution every month and helps to provide baby supplies for mothers who need them. Now, it's time for us to spend just a little bit of time in Chattanooga, where there's a program called Metropolitan Ministries, or METMIN. It's the area's only emergency room for social services. People can get help paying their bills, buying medication, and transportation. Take a look.
It's a place where people whose lives are chaotic, whose lives are unstable, come to get help with their most basic human needs. And so we help with things like utility bills and rent payments, transportation, all kinds of stuff. But that's just part of the story. They come to us because they have nowhere left to turn, and their electricity may be off. They may have been evicted, and they may have a number of reasons that got them in that situation in the first place. So in addition to paying those bills on their behalf and standing in that gap, stopping the chaos, we also have a number of wonderful, wonderful supportive programs. We are especially keen on our senior clients, particularly our widows. Oh, wow. And we have special programs just for them so that we can give them that extra care that we know our Father tells us we should. We have a wonderful, wonderful on-site grocery store just for them, and they can choose the foods that suit their diets, that they know they'll eat, that they enjoy. But more than that, they found a new community of love there, and they come together and they cherish each other, and we cherish them. We know that we're stopping senior hunger before it starts. We also know that we can use that hunger as a barometer for other problems that may be present in their households. We like to see them to see if their mental health has changed, if their physical health has changed. Is anybody taking advantage of them? And what about their pets? You may ask, why should people whose lives are characterized by poverty have pets? Oftentimes, when you fall into chaos, when you fall into instability, the only love that you have in your life is that dear, dear pet. And you cherish that pet as much as you cherish your own life. So every couple of months we turn into a veterinary clinic. We call it Dog Days, and it's utter chaos. It's loud, it's messy, but we partner with McCamey Animal Center to provide shots and well checks and flea pills and even pet food. And we can arrange for free spay neuters. And once our guests have that surgery accomplished, we can even get them free pet food for the life of the animal. I would say that METMIN is a place of joy. Although the folks who come to us are in panic, are in crisis, are scared, are ashamed to be there, they leave with joy. You see their countenance change. And ours does too, because we know that there is enough to go around. We know that. Our responsibility is to make sure that it gets to the people who need it most. And I haven't even told you about our bootleg gardens. Oh. We call them bootleg gardens because they're a little bit outlaw, I guess. We are in a very ugly gray building with asphalt all around, and every green patch we find, we throw food in there. we call it Food for Steel, and it's for the community to share, and so they can have fresh produce whenever it bears, you know.
Wow.
Right now we just planted the back 40, as we call it, which is the back parking lot. And we've got all kind of wonderful winter vegetables in there. Tell you what, we're looking for some gardeners to help us out too.
Awesome.
That's such an amazing program, right? Well, before we go, we want to show you one more. Check out what they're doing with the Unity Performing Arts Foundation, also in Chattanooga.
A few years ago, I had the opportunity to go to Nagoya, Japan to do some missions work. And it was there I was immediately convicted on so many different levels on how to come back to the States and to render some culture to our community. I believe that a lot of African American kids suffer from an identity crisis. And I wanted to see the talent that God had given me to utilize it to try to fix that. And so music and arts is it happens to be my gift. I can't fix a transmission, or I'm not a construction guy, but I've been playing by rote since I was 12 years old, and I had the opportunity to go to school for music. And so right here in the heart of East Chattanooga, God led me to start Unity Performing Arts to give an identity to our culture, our community rather, as far as their culture through the arts. So we use the arts to empower them as far as life skills, enrichment, music, of course, and giving them a sense of community and identity through the arts. And it's been an amazing journey so far. We have 5 legs we're serving through the arts. We have a visual art component. We have a dance component. We have a beat squad in percussion area. We have vocal. And then we also have the creative writing, theater, if you will. I am here today because God saved me and showed me my purpose through the arts. And the ultimate goal for our young people, and I say this all the time, if we want peace at the table, we have to invite Jesus to the table. And so all of our kids follow me all the time. Mr. Barnes, where are you going? What are you doing? Why are you so different? You don't sack your pants. You don't listen to Future. You don't rap. What's going on? Most of the African-American guys my age, and I used to do that. I was involved in gang activity and all of that growing up. But God saved me. And so as they follow me, they're going to be following Christ because that's where I'm going. And he's the only one that can be the one that transforms. So he's a true transformer. I'm a witness of it.
I hope that made you smile. Are you smiling? Well, we are out of time. Thank you so much for watching Joy in Our Town on TBN. I'm your host, Jaquetta Williams, and we hope to see you next time right here on Joy in Our Town. Until then, bye.